Welcome to Coffee, Contractors, and Concrete, a podcast series focusing on all aspects of the surface preparation industry and brought to you by the industry experts at Buy Manufacturers Direct. And I'm excited to have with us truly one of the industry's most recognized and respected patriarchs, Rex Davidson. Rex is the founder and president of OEM Products, which has been manufacturing industry-leading and premium quality ride-on floor scrapers for over 25 years. OEM manufactures a complete line of both battery and propane scrapers, with their most notable model being the Twister. And now they're making a huge impact with the battery-powered Storm SS. To learn more about OEM, I would encourage you to visit either the OEM website or the Buy Manufacturers Direct website. But let's jump right into our discussion with Rex. So I'd like to jump into the conversation about scrapers themselves and kind of hit some of the most commonly asked questions about the scrapers. And the first one is explain the differences or the advantages between a propane and a battery. I know battery is relatively new on the market, but propane still has a presence. So if you could just take a minute, kind of talk about each machine, the benefits, and why battery is so the new generational type of scraper.
Okay, so we've been building a battery machine for just about 20 years. Early on, we kind of went to the forklift style industry and had some really extremely heavy batteries. And so we really weren't happy with what we had to offer, but that's just what we had to offer. Our primary industry was propane because people are looking for production. So now here we are 20 years later, and people are being refused access to some of the stores and job sites in California. So we kind of reacted to that. Also, people are becoming more and more aware of the industry that can't be accessed while people are occupying the building. So if you throw a propane propane engine into a casino that's in operation, a hospital that may be on a second floor or something where there's not any good ventilation possibilities. So you primarily have to use a battery machine or a corded machine, which we don't build anymore. We have built that in the past, but a battery machine will allow you access to those really confined area, confined areas that have people in them or have very low or impossible ventilation. So battery technology is catching up in our industry. There's a lot of really cool stuff out there. First thing comes to mind is the Tesla cars. They've come a long way. That technology hasn't quite hit the floor scraper industry yet, but we're able to go into a hospital. We don't make that much noise. We're able to go into a daycare and run in a room literally next door to a class in operation. We're able to go in and put up a barrier between a couple of the gaming machines inside the casinos and remove flooring while the guy's playing blackjack next to you. So that is not something that's able to be done with a propane machine.
And also from battery, I would think one of the big advantages is there's no emissions. So it's very clean. And I've read that where battery technology driven by other industries like the automobile industry and also the military are driving the technology of batteries to where they've become much more sophisticated now than they were, say, 10, 15, 20 years ago. With that, talk a little bit about the batteries themselves as far as what kind of runtime can somebody expect? What kind of overall life cycles can they expect? When someone's looking at the purchase of a battery versus the cost of propane, obviously at some point you may have to replace the batteries. But if you can talk a little bit about the battery themselves and overcome maybe some of the fear somebody would have about, well, I don't want to run 2 or 3 hours, then I got to go charge them because now I'm dead in the water. I know batteries have advanced to where that's not really the case anymore, but can you touch on that a little bit?
Sure. In a normal work day, everybody, I get phone calls at least once a week. What's the runtime? Runtime, we want an all-day battery. We want something to run all day. Okay, so all day, spending 8 hours or 10 hours on a job site scraping floors, you have to have an extremely large area to utilize 10 hours of runtime. So if you're doing, 1,000 and maybe 1,500, 2,000 square feet an hour on a machine, 10 hours, I mean, that's a huge floor, 10,000 square feet or more. So most of these battery machines, we can pretty much guarantee 5 hours of runtime on a tough floor. We'd like to swear that we can do 8 hours, but depends on the flooring. If you're taking up just an adhesive and re-scraping a floor, you get a longer runtime than you are if you're taking up a double stick carpet or a rubber flooring in a basketball court or something. So the batteries themselves, they have a really good life as long as they're taken care of, just like the batteries in your cars. They have to make sure that you don't run the thing without a proper charging system on a car. But the biggest issue is opportunity charging. If you go to lunch, don't plug the machine in and charge it for that hour. I mean, that's detrimental to the life of the batteries. Life of the batteries, if you look at all the specs on all the battery manufacturers out there, they say there's an X amount of cycles. Some of them are 4,000 cycles. Some of them are 6,000 cycles. So if you look at that opportunity, if you charge it every day all year long, that's 365 cycles. So you're looking at several years worth of life. In reality, if you get 4 to 5 years out of a set of batteries, you've hit a home run, because it's a very taxing environment. It's a real high rate of discharge. It's an all-night charge. If you want to properly charge them, it's an all-night. It's not a run it for 8 hours, charge it for 4. It's a run it for 8 hours. It takes at least as much time to charge the batteries as it takes to run them down. Whenever we're looking at using the onboard chargers on all of our equipment, it's not an 8-hour charge time. You can't get that much energy out of a 110 volt circuit. So we employ dual chargers on our machine, so you can find 2 separate circuits and improve the time it takes to recharge by about 30%. So an overnight charge, you're ready to go again.
Well, that's actually was one of my questions. Is there a difference between a 110 charge and a 220 charge? And if somebody's out there looking to buy a machine, should that be a critical component to that decision making, where, hey, you know what, I don't want to wait 8 or 10 hours. I only want to wait 4 or 5 hours. Would 220 charge give you a faster charge time? And is that the only advantage to a 220?
The 220 charger, it actually is when the batteries, it's more pleasing to the batteries to get really hit extremely hard. We sell with our machines on the Cyclone machine. It comes with it. With the Storm machine, it's an accessory. It's a 220 volt. It's actually a 100 amp charge. It takes about a 20 amp 220 volt circuit, and it actually does such a hard charge. It actually boils the electrolytes. It helps suspend the electrolytes in the battery, and so it is something that you also, when you get done charging it, if you hit it to charge again, it does what they call a float charge. And so we like for our customers to, especially on the Cyclone machine that has a much larger battery pack, about every 3 or 4 110 volt charges, please put it on a 220 volt charge. Let's hit those things really hard. Let's get those things exercised and put them back where they need to be. Although we do have customers that's all they use, a 110 volt charger, and you will see a shorter life on the batteries. You're going to lose a year or so of charges on that.
I was on a job site recently with a 110 volt machine, and the contractor was charging with a 100-foot cord. To me, that seemed to be not the smartest thing to do, that because of the length of the cord, the charge was going to be slower. Is that true? And if it is, what's the ideal length and what's the ideal gauge of cord somebody should be using to charge their machine?
Well, anytime, I mean, that's definitely a consideration. In 2021, they have come such a leap and bound in progress on our chargers. Yes, it is an issue. The chargers have some things in them that will help adapt for that. But for every foot of extension cords you utilize, you have a voltage drop. So if you are running a 12 gauge cord 100 feet, and then you have to take into consideration, okay, how far is it from this plug-in over to the panel? And in some cases, it may be 200 more feet. It may be 100 more feet of number 12 solid wire, and the solid wire never carries the amperage like a stranded wire. So at the end of the day, the closer you can get to the panel, the closer you can get to the plug-in, the better that charger is going to like that. It's not a quality of charge. It is a matter of how much energy am I going to be able to push into that battery pack the most efficiently. And that is, if you can limit it to a 25-foot cord, man, let's do that. If all you have available to you is a 100-foot 12 gauge cord, plug that in and let's run it. So that's why we put 2 chargers on our Storm, so that you can run 110 volt cord over to one circuit and run another cord over to another circuit, maybe on the other side of the room. So we can increase that charge time, maybe 30%. It's not going to increase it, twofold, but it'll increase it some.
Okay. Let's move into the functionality of a battery machine versus a propane. Do you sacrifice anything in a battery machine? And there's no right or wrong answer. Both those machines, I think, have their place in the market. But I've heard people's concerned about a battery not being as fast as a propane, not being as aggressive as a propane. Are those true, or is the technology advanced to the point to where battery machines can really perform at an equal level to a propane machine?
On our battery machines, we've come a long way in the last couple of years as far as speed. We've always tried to force the machines to do more than what they were really capable of doing. And we've recently discovered some technology that is not really new, but it's more usable in our industry than what we thought. It's actually a motor that we can vary the speed on the motor and allow us a propane-like response. Whenever you're running a propane machine, when you're driving through a doorway, you're going to idle the engine down and make the machine a little bit easier to drive going through a doorway or through a couple of offices or something. And then when you get into the job, and you can rev the machine up, and you can have a more aggressive machine. So the battery machines are now very similar to that. We can drive the machine slowly into the job, and we can speed the machine up. Are you going to get 400 feet a minute out of one of our propane machine, or out of one of our battery machines? You can get the Cyclone. Yeah. It's fast. It's got a very large battery pack. It's going to be a propane-ish driving. We use the same pumps on the propane machines as we do on the battery machines, so you're not going to lose any capabilities there. They all have the same torque. We're getting near the same feet per minute. For example, the Storm machine, 270 feet per minute. And, even though we've been asked, okay, where is the magic number? Where is from 0 to 9 on our actual, throttle that would vary the speed of the machine? Okay, where is the sweet spot? My response is there's not one. You walk on a job site, your operator is going to have it on 9. If there was an 11, he'd have it on 11, because they want that machine to run as fast as they can go. An 8-hour runtime is not in their vocabulary, because if you've got 2,000 square feet of VCT to take up, are you going to run it to where your batteries last the longest, or are you going to run it so you're going to get the job done? You're going to get the job done. You're going to get out of there. So that variable speed is very functional when you're trying to go around maybe a toilet basin in an area where you have a $8,000 granite countertop in there in a kitchen somewhere, and you want to be very precise. You want to slow that machine down so it's not as aggressive. But we can make our battery machines just as aggressive as anybody wants to be.
Do you think that propane machines are on their way out because battery technology is becoming so advanced? One of the negative things about propane I've always heard is just the required maintenance on them, because they are, fossil fuels, filters, everything else. They're dirty in some applications. Does propane still have a place in the industry, maybe on larger machines, or do you feel like batteries really kind of taking over the industry?
Well, let's be straight. Nobody maintains these things. Nobody. I'm not going to say nobody, but most people don't pay as much attention to the propane engine maintenance as what we would like for them to. So very little maintenance on either way. Very little maintenance on a propane engine. If you change the oil every 50 hours to 100 hours and change the air filter every 20 hours on all these machines, that's pretty much it. But yes, unless you're, let's just say 10 years from now, my personal opinion, in 10 years, the only place you're going to operate a propane machine is on a parking deck outside, maybe a tennis court, maybe a basketball court that's inside where you've got some maple wood flooring that's been compromised and are going to be taking that out. But as far as all of these jobs right now that these guys are running propane machines indoors, I believe that a lot of states are going to go to the same thing that the Californians have done. There's just absolutely no fossil fuels whatsoever inside of a building. And that's driving the battery technology to be more and more technologically advanced in all of our battery machines. So we're already able to do pretty much everything you can do with the bigger machines and the propane machines with the battery machines, with the exception of, with a propane machine, your fuel cell can be changed out in 20 seconds. With a battery machine, your fuel cell can be recharged in 8 hours, 12 hours, depending on the equipment.
This concludes episode 7 in a series of podcasts focusing on the basic principles of concrete surface preparation. Make sure to join us for episode 8, where we continue our conversation with OEM founder and president Rex Davidson. Rex will be sharing and clarifying misconceptions about battery technology, mechanical drive options, and other critical information every floor scraper owner should know. For immediate access to hundreds of industry tutorials and product demonstration videos, we invite you to visit the Buy Manufacturers Direct YouTube channel. Simply visit the Buy Manufacturers Direct homepage and click Watch More Videos. New videos are added weekly, so don't forget to subscribe and click that bell icon to be notified when we post a new video.